The killer who left clue but was never catch. He wanted to be catch. That's the only explanation investigator could land on because this killer did not hide. He sent letter, he made phone calls, he laid physical evidence deliberately at every scene. He taught detectives, he gave them dates in details, even particular confusion, and still no one catch him. This is the story of a murderer who handled police the rope to gang him with and watched them follow it for decades. Welcome back. If you are new here, this channel covers the case that don't close. The ones the hand investigator that resurface every few years with a new lead that goes nowhere, that sit in cold case files collecting dust while somewhere out there someone knows exactly what happened. Today's case is one of the most maddening in the category. Let's get into it. If start in the kind of town where nothing like this was supposed to happen. The first victim was found a Tuesday morning in early auntie. A neighbor noticed the front door of the house is standing open. Unusual, they said, because the person who lived there was meticulous. Light off, door always locked, routine like clockwork. Police arrived expecting a break in, maybe a medical emergency. What they found was far worse. The victim has been killed sometime in the preceding 48 hours. The cause of death was blood force trauma. The home showed no sign of force entry, which means either the victim knew their killer or the killer was skilled enough to leave no trace of how they got in. But here, where the case immediately separated itself from the other, on the kitchen table, investigator found a single index card. Had written "Need delivered little." It read, "First of five you want by me before the last." The detective who first read it thought it was a frank, a sick joke left by someone who did stumble onto the skin. He would spend the next 11 years wishing it had been. The pattern emergency. Okay. The second killing came 6 weeks later, 60 miles away. Different victim, different method. This one was poisoning, carefully administered over that what toxologist estimated was several days. But again, no force entry, and again a note. This one was left inside a sealed envelope propped against the front door. It was addressed not the police, but to a specific detective by name, the same detective who had attended the first skin. The note inside contained two things: a particular description of victim number 3, gender, approximately age, Navihur, and a single sentence that read, "You find my first message. I wanted to make sure you got this one too." Investigator immediately placed the detective at the center of a task force. They assumed the killer had a grievance against law enforcement, perhaps against this officer especially. They looked into every arrest had ever made, every case had ever touched, hundreds of interviews. And then victim 3 turned up exactly where the note said they would be. At this point, the pattern was undeniable. This killer was not spiraling out of control. There was no frizzy noise escalation in variance, no obscene trigger. Each killing was methodical, each note was composed, each one revealed just enough to torment, but never enough to convict. The letters began arriving at the police station between kills. Over the following 2 years, 12 letters total. Some contained specific detail about the crime that had never been made public. Some contained riddles, reference to geography, related to a symbol that appeared in three of the letters that analysis could never fully decode. One letter contained what appeared to be particular fingerprint pressed deliberately into the paper in ink. The fingerprint matched nothing in any database. Behavioral analysis from multiple agencies build profile of the suspect. They agree on the broad stroke: highly organized, likely male, almost centrally educated. The latter show sophisticated vocabulary and what appeared to be knowledge of forensic procedures. He knew which details to withhold. He knew how evidence was proceed. He understood how investigative timeline worked. Some analysts believed he had a law enforcement background, others thought he might work in the field adjacent to it, medicine, forensic security, someone who understood how investigation functioned from the inside. The geographic spread of the killing suggests mobility. He was not anchored to a single neighborhood or city. He could travel. He planned ahead. The 6 week intervals between the first two killings were not accidental. They gave evidence to decay, witness memorial to blur, and the task force to spread itself think changing lead. One profiler later noticed in the published paper that what made this escape uniquely frustrating was the deliberate performance aspect. Most organized killers want distance from their crimes. They want anonymity. The killer wanted an evidence. He wanted detectives to know they were be autoplayed. The letters were not evidence of arrogance. They were the point. In the third year of the investigation, a tip came in from unlikely source. A librarian in a mid-sized city, unconnected geographical to most of the crime scene, connected the task force. She had been reading about the case in a true crime magazine and she recognized something. The symbol, the one that had appeared in three of the later. She said she'd seen it before, not in any book or publication, in the handwriting of a patron who'd visited her library regularly for about 8 months and then abruptly stopped coming. She could not remember a name. He had always paid for printing cash. He had never signed up for a library card, but she gave investigators something priceless, a description and a detail that had never appeared in any of the letter or any of public reporting. She said he had once leaned over the desk and asked her, casually like small talk, if she thought it was possible to be completely invisible to another person while standing right in from top them. She thought it was strange at the time, just one of those odd things someone say. She did not forget it. Investigators worked the lead of months, reviewed security footage, tracked down everyone who had used that library during the time frame, interviewed dozens of people. They found one man who matched the physical description almost exactly. He was interviewed. He had no criminal record. He had an alibi, imperfect but enough to introduce doubt. His home was searched with a warrant. They found nothing that tied him directly to the crimes. He was released. 3 weeks later, the final letter arrived. It contains no threat, no riddles. It said only, I told you first of five. This is the last. There was no sixth victim. No more letter, no more contact. The case went cold. The case remained officially open over the year. Investigators have revisited it with new technology, DNA analysis applied to the envelopes and stamp for the original letter, digital forensic geographic profiling software that does not exist when the crime occurred. Each time they come tantological close and then the trail goes cold again. The man interviewed in connection with the library lead died several years after the investigation. His death was unrelated to the case, illness not violation, but it created a strange and permanent uncertainty. He was